Hi there, this is Lydia and I am excited today to be taking part in a blog hop with Altenew and My Sweet Petunia's MISTI stamp positioner. So I'm going to be creating this card today and showing you how I stamp onto kraft using ink. So I'm going to be using this set called Beautiful Day. As you know, this is one of my favourites from Altenew and it is such a beautiful, beautiful stamp set. I love the large blooms in this set. So I'm going to be using the large peony. I'm going to be taking the bottom layer first and I'm just using a normal piece of kraft card. I've positioned my card slightly over on the MISTI mat so my bloom can hang over the side of the edge of my card. I didn't want to stamp onto the measuring part, so I'm just going to be stamping onto the back piece that goes over the card. I'm using some white pigment ink. This is from Hero Arts. This is the unicorn ink, and I'm just stamping this using the bottom layer of the flower onto my card. I'm doing this as a sort of a primer, so I will be able to stamp over this again with ink to make it more bold and stand out more from the kraft paper. I'm then taking the leaf from the base layer of the leaves from the set, and I'm going to be stamping this 3 times. As the ink goes over the other bloom, because I haven't masked it off, all I'm doing is I'm just rubbing the ink in so there's no harsh lines there when I'm stamping over it later. I'm just going to stamp 3 of these leaves because 3 is more pleasing to the eye. This is why gardeners work in this way. So I'm just going to do that so I can get a nice arrangement on the side of my card. Once I have all of the stamps in place, I'm just going to take my heat tool and I'm going to heat this off. As it's pigment ink, it likes to sit on the surface, so you want to make sure that it's nice and dry before you start stamping with the Altenew crisp inks. So again, I'm taking the bottom layer and I'm trying to place this over the white one that we've just stamped. And I'm then taking the Arctic ink and I'm using this one for my base layer of my flower, and I did in fact stamp this twice, so I've done it once and I wasn't quite happy with the depth of colour, so I've just done it again. As we're using the MISTI, we're going to stamp in exactly the same place, so this is awesome for this technique. I was then happy with the amount of colour I had on this, so I heat set it. You're going to need to heat set all of the layers that you stamp with the dye inks, because they too want to sit on the surface now because of the pigment ink that we used at the start. I'm then going to use the second layer for the flower using Caribbean Sky, and this is a beautiful, beautiful blue. I just love the depth of colour this gives when we put it on top of the other layer. Again, I've heat set this layer, and then I'll move on to the third layer using some Parisian blue. Great, great colours these. I love the Glacier Cave set because it gives a lovely, cool, crisp blue. So I'll be using this one. Once I've finished this layer, I've then taken a mask and I'm just going to place this over my flower while I stamp the leaves. For the leaves, I'll be using the Green Fields ink set, the crisp ink. I'm using frayed leaf for the bottom layer, and then I'll be using the Forest Glades for the second layer, and also a jet black for the outline layer of the leaves. Between each layers, I am going to heat set it with my heat tool because, as I said before, the ink now wants to act like a pigment ink, so it's going to sit on top of that pigment ink. So you want to make sure it's nice and dry before you move on to the other layers of the leaves. Once I had finished doing all of the layers for the leaves, I then take off the mask and I'm going to add the outline layer of the flower. I'm using the outline layer with some jet black ink, and I just think it's a beautiful way to add more depth and dimension. You don't need to add this layer if you don't want to, but I just love the image that's used here. Once I'm finished with my image, I'm then going to add my sentiments. I'm using 2 sets. I'm using Thinking of You and also Painted Butterflies. I love the how it has guidelines on the MISTI, so I can make sure my sentiments are nice and straight before I stamp them. Once I've finished with my sentiment, all I've done is I've added a sprinkling of some sequins and a little glitter to the inside of my flower to finish off. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope it's inspired you in some way, and I hope you enjoy the hop today. Thank you so much for watching again, and have a beautiful day.